After decades of erratic contributions by the state, most of New Jersey's public employee pension funds are in deep trouble. In fact, by one calculation, they are at least $40 billion in the red. So, should the government be forced to pay into those funds every year in order to make them whole? Democratic legislators in Trenton say yes, and this coming November, they want New Jersey voters to approve a constitutional amendment that would compel the state to do just that. Joining me now to make sense of New Jersey's pension woes and possible solutions is my New Jersey Capitol Report co-anchor and MetroFocus contributor, Steve Adubato. Steve, welcome.
Good to be here, Raf.
Now, Steve, I know we've talked about this before in the show, but would you quickly summarize for us why the pension funds got in such trouble, and specifically why the need or the call for this constitutional amendment?
Lots changed since the last time we talked about this on MetroFocus. But one thing hasn't changed, Raf. The pension situation is dire. I mean, for years, the state of New Jersey, governors, legislatures, they have not paid in, they have not paid their fair share to the Public Employee Pension Fund. To the point where you said it in the introduction, $40 billion in the hole.
That's one calculation.
It could
Others
be worse.
Have more. Others say a little less.
So here's the thing. So if you're a public employee and you signed on to a certain salary and you say, I'm going to retire at a certain point in time and I'm going to expect a certain pension. Now, if that pension is in fact in jeopardy because the state's not doing their part, what then? So in 2011, as you know, and as our audience should know, there was a deal struck between Governor Christie, the Democrats, and the public employee unions to solve this problem, or at least to make progress. And everyone thought that that was on the right track. Since then, while Governor Christie has made significant contributions, the state has not made what everyone thought they were going to make in terms of public contributions, and we're way behind. So Steve Sweeney, the Senate President, said, wait a minute, let's have a state constitutional amendment, a resolution that says we force you every quarter, state of New Jersey, to do what you were supposed to do. And that's what's going to be happening, whether the state likes it or not.
And what's the governor think about this proposal?
He doesn't like it. The governor...
Really?
The governor, listen, you're going to hear the governor. I will never speak for Chris Christie, neither will you or anyone else. The governor at the State of the State address spoke for himself, and this is what he had to say about the constitutional resolution to force the state of New Jersey to make the pension payment.
You have begun the pursuit of a constitutional amendment to guarantee pension payments over all other types of state spending. All those issues, education, health care, crime, our environment, support for the poor, protection for our children, would be subject to elimination to pay for the pensions of 800,000 current and former public employees. The health, the welfare, and the security and success of the other 8.1 million New Jerseyans become second-class concerns. Pensions reign supreme.
Does the governor have a point there?
He has a point, Raf, but it's more complicated than that. Because that's like saying, look, there are 80,000 public employees, and that doesn't trump, I hate to use that term in this discussion, but it doesn't trump, it doesn't outweigh the 8 million New Jerseyans. But it's not that simple, because those 800,000 public employees, those 80,000 public employees, they are part of the state of New Jersey. They are part of the citizenry, if you will. And here's the bottom line. They cut a deal. They were part of the solution. And to say that they don't matter as much is a problem. And here's the other thing. If the state's not going to make the payment, Steve Sweeney, the Senate President, and others have argued that by 2026, the public employee pension system will go bust. And if it goes bust, who picks up the bill? The 8 million New Jerseyans who are responsible for it. So in the end, the state of New Jersey, the citizens, we have to pay.
But aside from that, and aside from what the governor said, what about the argument that, listen, mandating the state to pay this bill, no matter what, regardless of the revenues and regardless of the other needs or priorities or exigencies that occur, is irresponsible?
Raf, I want to make this clear. I think it is irresponsible. I think it is dangerous. I think you should be making budgetary decisions based on priorities year to year, but the state hasn't done it. The state hasn't paid the pension payment. So this is really, in my opinion, like the legislature and everyone else saying, stop us or force us to do what we can't do or haven't done ourselves. We have failed. So force us to do what we can't or won't do.
Are there other proposals out there? Are there other alternatives to solve the pension fund that doesn't involve the constitutional amendment?
There is a commission that was set up. Governor Christie put a commission together, and it was actually headed up by Tom Byrne, the son of former Democratic Governor Brendan Byrne, and they had a whole series of recommendations. And I will tell you, some of those recommendations have to do with public employee unions putting forth more concessions or givebacks, if you will. And let me make it clear, Raf, the public employees have said no way. The New Jersey Education Association, the Communication Workers of America, they're saying that's it. We gave back in 2011. We're not giving back anymore. And the Democrats are going to be with them on this.
Okay, by the way, so finally, the public employees are obviously in favor of this, correct?
The constitutional amendment, totally in favor of it.
What about the population as a whole, the voters who are going to have to vote on this?
The Fairleigh Dickinson Public Mind poll recently checked this out, and they said that most voters, when they first asked them, would you favor a constitutional amendment to force the state to make the pension payment for public employees? Yes. And then the second question was, well, would you favor it if we raise taxes? No, not so much. We wouldn't favor it. And all of a sudden, the support dropped. Would you favor if we cut state services to make the pension payment? Support dropped even more. So as you can expect, the public's opinion changes once you tell them it comes out of their pocket. What do you expect politicians to do then? Not make the payment, which is why they're making the Constitution force them to do what they otherwise wouldn't do.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens, Steve. Thanks so much for joining us.
You got it, Ralph.